Hello you, welcome to Geekism. You join me again in Pinewood Hills, and today we're going to be working on a staff building ready for the 1.4 update that we're hopefully going to be getting in about a few weeks, a month's time. We haven't got a date yet, as a time of recording, I love saying that, a time of recording, we don't have a date just yet, but there's a few little bits that have happened off camera. Somebody commented that the Pinewood Hills logo looked a little bit too neat, and I think you're right. So you can see now that we've changed the colour slightly on them. We've made one of the L's a little wonky. You know what? You know, it's good, but it's just getting a little bit tired. You know, it's been there for quite a few years now. Little things like that, I hope, are worth doing, and they sort of make a bit of difference. And you know, and they're sort of not noticeable consciously, but they all sort of add to this sort of realism of the area. A few other things we've done then. If we scoot down here, we replaced these with the spooky ones. Can't remember if I mentioned that in the last video though, so apologies if I did. And then through here, we've now very kindly been given the word Voshkirn, I think it's pronounced, which is Plankonian for Planko for pushchair. So thanks very much to James Stan. And he's not getting fed up with me yet, throwing words at him if they're not in the dictionary. So thank you very much, James, for that. Also, we have Liamotos. This one was in the game already. I didn't have to ask for this one. That's souvenirs. So we have a gift shop. This was an exterior that we wanted to do. Didn't want to build an interior here. Frankly, interiors, personally, they're only good for me, like... You're very rarely going to come down and walk through them, I think. So really, I'm only going to be looking at interiors where they're kind of visible from the street. So like places like this, it's nice that you can see a bit of interior there in the Venetian Carousel. But if we can use some doors and it still looks good, then I think it's personally okay. But one thing I did want to do is have some of the stuff you can buy in the souvenir shop. So I've placed it outside. And this may seem a little weird to some people, perhaps outside of the UK. I don't know how much this is done, but you go to any seaside town, you go to Blackpool, you go to Southport, you go anywhere like that, you go to anywhere that have these sort of cheap souvenir shops. You know, this isn't, I haven't done this as a sort of quality theme park gift shop. This is a cheap, you know, gift shop that's found in some of these cheaper parks where they have like erasers and rulers with the name of the place stuck on them and things like that. Anyway, you go to any place like that, they have a load of their stuff outside. It's dragged out there every morning, it's dragged back in later. Sometimes they have like little bolts tying them to areas and stuff. Sometimes it's just there. They must lose a fortune in people stealing stuff, I can only imagine. But that's kind of what I've done here, so that we can still have a bit of fun designing some smaller items to go in the gift shop, but we haven't got to do a complete interior. So we've got a t-shirt rail there with some t-shirts on. We have some, I don't know what they are, like sticks, maybe those things that you've shaken and they go, you know, the jibber jabber type things. We have this. The idea here was like a keyboard, like a keyring railing or something like that, you know, where you can pick your name. Unfortunately, we haven't got anything small enough to do that, but I feel like these icing pieces can kind of give a good idea of what that's meant to be. And then we've got another one of these. This time they're turned the other way up, so they can actually be candy canes. You can often buy giant sweet candy canes in places like this, lollipops and things like that. I did try and put the lollipops in there, but they were just too big. And then another one of those, and a Missy Good sign as well to show there's donuts indoors. So I think that's worked out quite nicely. Leo Mortos, we've got a little bit of signage up here, dead random signage. Again, this is the idea here is that this was the original, and then this has been stuck on sometime in the 80s when everything was neon and garish. Okay, that's kind of the plan there, and it kind of finishes off this little strip quite nicely. We've kind of got a little finished strip there, pretty much. We are going to start working over on this side. Probably the next 2 episodes. We're actually going to work in over the back of the carousel today. But the other thing I did off camera was I just did a reskin of the Whippy ice cream. So first of all, I had another little pass at it with some more detail pieces. Actually got rid of the car pieces and did some stuff manually. I feel like it kind of fits better with the flow of the rest of the building. They looked a little bit too detailed and stuck on. So instead we've gone back in with some lights. We've done a custom number plate there. I see ice cream 51 Pinewood Hills. Why it's number 51 I don't know. In fact, we need to change it on this one, to be honest, don't we? Because at the moment this one says 51. And it probably shouldn't, because this one says ice cream. It probably shouldn't, because it's not ice cream, is it? It's this one's tacos. So let's get in here and change it. So now we'll make it Taco Van 48. It can be Taco Van 48. I mean, I know this isn't how number plates work, but we've got to put them something, haven't we? So there we go. Good stuff. Taco Man 48, Pinewood Hills. So yeah, we called it Taco Cat. It's only because it's a palindrome, and I love palindromes. So you read it forwards, backwards, and you get perfect eats from here. It's a Mexicalente store, and it sells nachos, burritos, and tacos, and it's hot and spicy. So yeah, look, here's another go we had at the front, using some more art pieces, custom signs. I think it actually works quite well. Whether or not we actually use Taco Cat in the park, I'm not sure yet. Taco is not a very traditional British thing, to be honest with you, but I'm going to put these on the workshop, you see, so I wanted to do an extra skin off them. Saying that, somebody's put on Reddit today these amazing VW camper vans that have stores in that are absolutely stunning and make these look ridiculous. So they probably are going to be very useful for most people, but I'm going to throw them up there because a few people have asked. So then we're going to move around the back of the carousel, and here is where we're going to be working today. We've also done some work around the back of the backstage area. So now the road here, we now come off the road, and we have a staff only area. One thing I wanted to do here very much so was not have a huge sort of huge sort of thing. This is a small park. This is going to be on a morning, there'll be a guy standing here letting people in and out. On the way out, I've put a sign here to do a sign saying something like please have staff passes ready for showing on the way out, but I've still got to do that over in Photoshop. So this is very much inspired by the Jubilee Gardens, episode 5 or 6 I think it was. I think it was Commando Santa did a really nice little entrance point for the backstage area, so kind of took a bit of a thing off that. I made it a little bit larger. Also done a little bit of work here as well, using the coconut pieces here to create some mulch. Again, it's been featured on a few other series now as well, and also on Shy Guys. So, it's the one thing I'm really enjoying about this series is that because I'm building this sort of smaller sort of style that a lot of other people are working on at the minute, we're able to sort of swap around ideas. I've seen other people use little bits that I've done in here. Like I saw somebody add a generator into their park after that one there. So it's really great that we can sort of pass back and forth ideas and stuff like that. So I think it's awesome. Finish off this area then with a little bit more car parking and bins. Nothing major going on here, to be honest. Still got to do a bit of work on the back of the buildings here. But basically, I'm working all the way down here, ready for a building that's going to go here. And it's actually going to be the last thing along this path for now. Eventually, the coaster will come to the top of this path here, and that will be the end of the original park. But then what we're going to do is our first major expansion will actually take the path underneath the coaster and open up this area here that we're going to be doing sort of based on the 1960s. So that's the plan. So here we're going to do a huge utilities building. It's going to have toilets on the front for guests to access, and on the back we're going to have a little path here that's going to run to a staff room that we'll get, like I say, in 1.4, and also a first aid unit as well. I'm basing that on the when we went to Disney last year, the wife, unfortunately Nicola, got a nasty bee sting or a wasp sting on Expedition Everest. It was in Animal Kingdom. Talk about being a close encounters with animals. So we went down and we found the first aid unit, and they gave her some sort of stuff to rub on it or whatever. But it was really nice because it was just a little bit set back. You had to kind of go around the corner. It was also where the sort of the Lost Kiddies area was and things like that. And it was just, it was nice. It was a little bit offset, but it was still there if you needed it to be. And that's kind of the theme I want to go for here. So I'm going to build it into one big utilities building that's going to sit sort of in this area here. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to jump into a time lapse. I don't know how much of it I'm going to get done in the time lapse, but let's see. So there we have it, our first sort of utilities block. I think it's turned out really quite well. It's relatively simple. I mean, most of the details happening up here at the front, and then round the back it stays pretty plain, but that is as you would expect. There's probably going to be a little bit more going on here, but I'm waiting to see what, just to double check. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be one of our TARDIS blocks, the staff room, but also see how the sort of staff interact with it, how they walk up to it and stuff like that, as to whether or not more stuff's going to go here, maybe a few brooms and buckets and things like that. But for now I want to keep it relatively open just in case we have to do something a little bit more interesting with it. And again, we've popped first aid there. Again, this is mostly sort of, just there to be working at the moment, and probably end up changing that a little bit, making it look a bit nicer. But around the front, I'm really happy with it. There's this really over-the-top sign, but I think it's okay. I think it works okay. The idea here is that this one would be ladies, this one over here would be gents. I mean, obviously they just use them both. Because they're all very modern, but this park isn't modern, so they don't. Now, I've done a bit of lighting as well. I'll show you that in a little moment. So then I've just tied in the area here. Again, I'm trying my best to go for a bit of nature from the RollerCoaster guys. So, the idea is the very slight mounds here, a few trees, a little bit of foliage, but actually keeping it quite rough this bit. Actually, we need to do a little bit more here as well. In fact, let's do a little bit on camera. There's a little bit more here as well, keeping it quite rough because this area, it's not very easily accessible. And I think that's another thing you've got to try and bear in mind when you're doing this kind of stuff, is that if it's not very accessible, it's probably going to get a little bit overgrown. I mean, we're not going to have massive, huge amounts of shrubbery everywhere, but the chances are that if it's here and it's out of the way a little, then it's probably going to be a little bit overgrown. So we'll just do that there, add a little bit of a deeper grass texture around the back there. Make sure we're not clipping. No, we look okay. Alright, good. So it's very unseeable. We've got a little bit of an issue with terrain there. Actually, let's just try and get rid of that a little bit. Shouldn't take too much to do it. There we go. Good stuff. It doesn't affect any of that. Okay, cool. So yeah, a little bit of terrain here. Like I say, originally I was just going to place pines down, but we're a little limited. We've only got about 2 or 3 pines. So, we're throwing a little bit of other foliage as well. These little birch and beech trees in, because they're lovely. And also the sort of variation in greenery as well, I think is quite nice. So we've gone for like a tiered option up here. Trying to think a little bit about sight lines, the fact is, it gives you a bit of depth now with that pine at the back. And then as you come around here, it sort of draws the eye up and away from the toilets, which is really what you want, because let's be honest, they're a bit of an eyesore. So there we go. There's the toilet utility block. Pretty sure that's all I did. Oh no, I did this as well off camera actually, because I did a lighting pass. That was it. So let's show you this at night time. So again, we've got relatively plain lighting, some orbs just up there. As this sign is lit up as well, and then using a few other bits along here just to kind of light it plainly, light it very sort of functionally. That's the idea here. And then around the back at the moment, we've just got a little lamp here. Again, this area will be adjusted depending on how the staff room works, and I may even adjust. Yeah, do you know what? I don't like that there. I think maybe just the one on an angle might be better suited, because we want to let people know where it is, but through a relatively simplistic manner, I think. There we go. There'll be other signage as well once I figure out what I'm doing with this back area here. So there you go. Because of the lighting pass, maybe bring around here and realise that the place was all pretty plain, so I've put some lights along the front here. And then also, this area was really dark. I mean, really, like I'll show you, because I think this is all on the one building. So if I delete that, you can see how sort of real dim this area was. So I added the lamps around it, and then decided to take the lights down here. Something I saw in the most recent Jubilee Gardens, which is a fantastic series if you're not already watching it, Ruble Trillions and Commando Santa, occasionally painted one of the lights black to make it look like a bulb had gone. How good's that? Such a nice little touch that I thought I would rob, basically, and add there. So it just kind of lights up the area, makes the place look a little bit more fancy. Again, like I say, some areas of this park are going to be a little bit run down, such as, the greenery around the back here, but then other areas, they're going to be relatively well maintained, such as the front here as well. I think I need a little bit more of this lighting along here. This is quite a dark section here, isn't it? Also, I've done some up lighting on the trees. You only really appreciate these if you're in Tejid Camp, to be honest with you, which we can have a little look around in. click our little Tegid cam guy. We do this, we always know we've got somebody on Tegid cam. There we go. And then we can come down here and have a look at it at night time. So we'll come in through here, through the turnstiles. There we go. And you can now see the little uplighting on the trees there. Very realistic. Exactly the sort of thing you would usually find. In fact, there's probably a little bit more we can do with that. It doesn't look like it lights up the leaves though, unfortunately. Now come in here now, and you just get this wave of colour, this wave of light. All different sort of bright light sources, exactly as you would expect to find in a park. So there we've got our Voshkin pushchair rental and drop off, and a Leon Mortas gift shop that again could probably do with a little light on it, although it sends signs a bit funny, doesn't it? The Venetian carousel's looking great as well. Again, I think let's just jump out of there a second. There we go. Again, this could probably do with a quick light, so I'll just quickly do that as well. Sorry to do this on camera, but I'd just forget otherwise if I didn't do it. So we can put you around like here, and then into here. There we go. That looks good. Just try our best to get you out of the way. There we are, and we'll knock it down just a little, I think, and maybe even sort of greenify it a little as well. That would look pretty good, like a nice little minty green. Okay, cool. Just to show a little bit of interest on the back there. And then I've also done some path lighting here as well. Again, we'll probably carry on up depending on where we go with this area. The reason I'm holding on a lot of stuff here is because it all kind of depends where the coaster sits that's going to come around here, which is the main reason. Here's the other thing I wanted to ask you about before I sign off. I have an area here on the back of the back lot area, basically. So it's this space here. Now, what I could do, at the moment I've took the fence to the edge of this path. What I could do is run another fence down here and clop the area off, and use this as part of the rustic, the sort of the foliage area for the coaster. Or I can start the foliage area of the coaster here, which is what I originally was planning. The coaster comes down here, helixes sort of back and out, so that this is going to be the coaster here. I kind of need something to put here, and I don't want to just put parking for a few reasons. One, the path's getting a bit funky here. It'd be quite tricky to fill this with path. And two, I feel like something a bit more interesting. We have a bit of parking here that's probably for the staff of these stores. But yeah, I'm looking for suggestions. So please, anything you can think that would fit here quite nicely and make sense. So something backstagey, something relatively realistic and simple and plain, very sort of traditional. Anything you can think of that fits along some or all of those lines, let me know in the comments, and if there's anything that really jumps out, maybe we'll look at doing that in one of the future episodes. So we've got our space here ready for the staff room. That's where that's going to go. Obviously we'll have a few more around the place, but that's going to be our first one. But there we go, that's our first ever utilities building here on Pinewood Hills. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, you can give us a like. It really does help out the channel. Look at that, it's starting to shape up and looking like something, isn't it? If you any thoughts, queries or suggestions, sorry I threw myself off then, you can pop them down in the comments. And if you fancy a chat, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at JohnTSparrow. Thanks again for watching. If you'd like to join in with the Geekism community, you can do so over on our Geekism Discord server. You'll find the link in the description. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.